What's going on, guys? And we are back with the RPO College Football Podcast, your favorite college football podcast. I'm your humble host, Ramon Jones, and I'm here with my guys. I'm going to introduce the guy down there first. My guy right there, Mr. LaMarcus Bailey. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you back for the second week straight, man. Let's talk some football. I'm glad to have you back and very interested to see you. And we got my man back. Ray, we miss you. We miss you, Ray. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Doing great.
well,
doing
man.
great. Here to talk some
Good
football.
to see
We
you.
got only a few. Hey, man, we only got a few more weeks left. Super excited about it because, hey, man, this is crunch time.
I got you.
Crunch time. It's ready.
It is.
Yeah, it's time to go. Hey, this is do or die. Two more weeks left. We got the championship game, and then we got playoff bowl season. And super excited about that because I always love how the end of the year kind of shapes together, and especially that last week. And I love how college football makes the last week a very important week. On top of that, with the championship week. So we're gonna talk about all that in a second, but real quick, guys. Initial overall thoughts of this week. What's your overall thought of how the games went this weekend?
I think that Oklahoma needs to start playing real football. I think it was a good week. A lot of upsets, both college and pro. So if you're a fan, it was a really good week. I think if you're certain teams, it wasn't such a great week. If you're Penn State, it wasn't a great week. If you're Oklahoma, it wasn't a great week. So
Right, just like Texas A&M.
Right.
For Texas A&M, it wasn't a good week either. Being able to get a dub, and Jerome wants to show off that Michigan shirt.
I didn't realize I had this one.
He wants to show that Michigan shirt, but that was definitely a big win. Penn State, they definitely, I know they feel kind of bad about that, but obviously, being unranked, it's kind of like it's kind of like over, obviously. But like Texas A&M, for example, getting a win early in the season against Alabama, then going and dropping against Mississippi State. I mean, against Ole Miss is kind of looks kind of bad and reflects poorly on them for their overall season.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. So we're gonna get right into it, man, because I'm excited to talk about it. Let's get into our Week 11 reviews right now. And the first game we're going to talk about, let's just get right to it. Let's talk about the Michigan game. Michigan versus Penn State rivalry game. Michigan winning 21-17. I want to know your initial thoughts. I'm starting with you, Ray.
Michigan was a more physical team in the end. I think they're a more talented team than Penn State. Their defense was great this week. They had 7 sacks. They put pressure on the quarterback on every down. They really never let Penn State establish a running game, which is really what Penn State would like to do. I mean, I think most Big Ten teams would like to establish a run game, but they could not do that. And again, Michigan's a more talented team, and I was not surprised by the outcome. So,
yeah, Penn State definitely wasn't as efficient as Michigan. Their defense was definitely really dominant. Aside from a early fake punt, they didn't really create much that was going to get Michigan off their heels, and so I think that pretty much Michigan definitely showed they're the most physical team, especially defensively. They looked really impressive. It wasn't even a high scoring game, so the defenses kind of showed up, but the defense for Michigan really was impressive.
it was fun watching two teams play pretty good defense, to be honest with you.
Definitely, especially
all the scoring and stuff that's going on, man, with the rest of the league, the rest of the games. But I have to say what Ray's saying, man, the defensive battles between both schools, these schools are very familiar with each other, hostile environment. Michigan played well because they were away for a game, and it's a rivalry game, so it's going to be crazy in there. So the adrenaline and all the hype it's just loud there. No matter whatever stadium it was at. But my biggest thing is seeing those defensive ends, man. I mean, Hudson and Odabo, man, that is a fearsome tandem, man. Fearsome tandem. And
nice
I know both of those guys are going to be high in the draft. One of them, Hudson has to be top 5. Top 10, maybe top 5.
There are some people think that he's a top edge rusher in the draft this year, so we'll see. Either him or Thibodeau, right?
Yeah, Thibodeau. I mean, obviously Thibodeau got out for the season, but Hudson his numbers not only just pass rushing, but his run defense. I mean, I think he's top 8 in rush defense as defensive end, and then I think he's like number 3 in sacks or number 2 in sacks, something like that. So like he just going crazy, and then having a counterpart with Adobo, I think that's the perfect combination.
Right.
Also, even on offense, McNamara, like I was probably my biggest I'm not gonna say fear, but my biggest concern or unknown of this team was the play of McNamara. He played well last year, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, oh man, this guy's taking the reins. He's gonna get us to the promised land. But considering I think he only threw maybe 4 or 5 interceptions all year. Like he's keeping the ball. He's not turning it over. He's very efficient. He's doing what he needs to, and the Michigan, we're actually keeping the ball on the ground. We're running the ball, and that was a problem the last couple of years. Yeah, right.
I think the only person that doesn't think the McNamara's played a lot better this year is maybe your coach, to be honest with you. But he seems to not have faith in the all the time. I mean, if you look at the game, Michigan averaged almost 5.5 yards a carry. Penn State averaged a little under 4. So there's the difference right there, and the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, man, and some of the questionable decisions by Penn State, like Lamar was saying, I think it was a fake field goal, not fake punt.
Fake
but,
field
goal. That was a horrible play too, man. Like honestly, I agree with. I don't remember who was announcing the game, but whoever. He was right. If you're going to go for it, man, go for it. You don't put the ball in the kicker's hands, okay? I'm sorry. All due respect to kickers, man. If you're going to go for the first down, just go for the first down. I mean, I understand Penn State not wanting to give the ball back. So, but you could have gotten a field goal. Why do that? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, again, it's a huge game for Penn State. They put all the cards on the table. They really wanted to win the game. I understand that part, but sometimes the smart play is just take the points and go for the next play, But
and like Ray, like you said, big game for Penn State because their bowl chances are getting slimmer and slimmer. They had a bad season last year where they didn't have a bowl game, and this year, they're trying to get a bowl game, and it's getting slimmer and slimmer each game.
I think they're going to still get a bowl game. But it's not going to be a great bowl game. And again, I don't understand. You're playing against Michigan, they're a good team. They're dominating you up front. So you pull a fake field goal and put the ball in the kicker's hands. It just does not make sense.
Ray doesn't
with
like
that defensive line. I mean, I seen that, and as a Michigan fan, it just made me happy. But at the same time, it's like, why would you do that?
Hey, man, good for you.
Hey, exactly. But I do want to quickly talk about Haskins because this man is putting in work on the ground, and 30. He had this is his second game going over 22. I think it was 22 attempts. And he's very efficient on the ground. Got 156 rushing yards without his counterpart. Blanking his name. Coram. Blake Coram. What's your take on him? Because he's going to be somebody that you could possibly look at in the draft as well.
I think he's a good physical player. I think he'll be a 2-down back. I don't think he does any much in the passing game, but as a physical good contact balance type of runner, I think he's a good football player.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't. On tape, watching him play, he's a very physical Big Ten running back. He fits the scheme, but he's not he's not a burner like in open space. He's not gonna just run away from you consistently. So I think for what he is, he's a good player for sure.
Don't get me wrong, but he reminds me a lot of Justin Howard from the Eagles.
That's a good comparison, actually. He'll probably be the same type of player, too. He'll come in on first and second down and get his nice positive yardage, and then third down, you have to take him off the field because he doesn't do anything in the passing game. So,
yeah. I mean, I like his game. I like his toughness. And the man got incredible balance, man. You hit him, and he just bounce off. He'll jump over you. You know, he's very athletic.
His contact balance is probably what makes him as good a player as he is. And getting the ball 31 times doesn't hurt either. So, you know.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. But I think if Michigan sustains like, you know, that philosophy and, you know, and it's crazy because, you know, I thought, man, we lost what's the name at the beginning of the year? What's our receiver name that we just lost? Well, I'm blanking on people's names. But we lost him for the rest of the year, and you're like, oh man, there goes our offense. But like, we've been running the ball really efficiently, and you know, a lot of guys are stepping out. You know, so I like what Michigan's doing. You know, we got a huge game in 2 weeks, but I don't want to overlook that game, the game that's coming up this week. So, you know, you already know what game I'm talking about. It's gonna be huge. I took off of work for it. So
don't look.
I'm not
anybody. Come on,
Maryland.
All right.
One game at a time. We're talking about Maryland.
One game at a time, man.
One game at a time.
Don't disappoint yourself.
That's correct.
All right,
start looking too far ahead, man. Start looking too far ahead. You'll be looking back at Penn State next week. Okay, so come on, let's not do that.
Seriously. But let's get to our next game. We're gonna talk about Mississippi State versus Auburn. This is a big game. I mean, Auburn, you know, was ranked 17. They was in a really hot streak. They lost to Mississippi State 43-34. Ray, if I'm not mistaken, you wasn't here last week, but you did give us your picks.
I did.
And I believe that was a game that we both got, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we had that, actually. Let me see. No, we didn't have that game. Weirdly. No, I think I put it in here wrong. We both had no. I'm so confused right now. Anyway, here it is. Let's see. Do we have the game? We did not have that game from last week.
Hold on 1 second, Jerome. I have all my games right here.
Yeah, we didn't have that game. Let's pick them. But LaMarcus, let me know how you feel about the game. Another shootout type of game. Not a lot of running from Mississippi State. What's your take on this one?
I really think that the SEC has kind of like changed identities and who they are for sure. It's not as you're not gonna get a lot of those 9-10 LSU versus Alabama defensive games. I think with Mississippi State, they're very athletic. And I think with Auburn, you know, obviously it's a shootout. Bo Nix, if it's a who has the ball last situation, Bo Nix is really not. He's shown some things in the past, but I don't think consistently he's going to be the guy to just march down the field without making a mistake. And I really think that's what's hurt the Auburn Tigers as of late. They don't have a true dominant quarterback that can control a game, take over a game. And I think that's kind of what they tried to do with Bo Nix, but just unfortunately not it. So Mississippi State, they're not a bad team this year. Definitely very athletic, especially on offense.
Right. William Rogers went crazy. 415 yards, 6 touchdowns. His performance was crazy when, you know, Auburn was up 28-10 at halftime. And then to rally back, what's your take on this game and how the performance of Will Rogers?
Well, of course, he played great. Like you said, the stats speak for themselves. And he got the win, which is the more important thing. But like Marcus said, they're very athletic. Auburn is a good athletic team. They just didn't have enough firepower to keep up with Mississippi State in this game. That's all. They were just better. Bo Nix didn't play a bad game. He just didn't get the ball enough. Mississippi State dominated. So, I mean,
just looking at Bo Nix's completion and attempt percentage, like obviously late in the game, he's gonna have a little bit more attempts, trying to fish, being from behind, trying to make plays. But I really think just the tape speaks for itself. The numbers speaks for itself. 27 for 41, 27 for 41, and it just wasn't really like enough for them to to come out on top. They can't really make too many mistakes, especially when Will Rogers had 55 attempts. You have to expect perfection. That kind of game, it's if anyone makes a mistake, it's going to be in the next person's hand because the margin of victory is not that big, obviously. So it was especially in the second half, they couldn't do anything. So offensively.
I think the biggest surprise to me was Auburn, who's usually, known for a good or a great defense. They gave up so many points in the second half of the game. I mean, there was rocking in the first half of the game. They was only let up 10 points. Second half of the game, they just totally went away. I mean, 13 points in the third quarter and then 20 points in the fourth quarter. That's unacceptable. I mean, with any team.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like we were just talking about like Penn State and Michigan, how defensive game, what a great defensive game it was. This was exactly the opposite. It was like no one played any defense at all. I mean, it's really honestly, you would think like this is not arena football, man. I don't like that football. I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't mind the games being high scoring, but I like it better when the defense is causing turnovers, stuff like that. I don't like just sloppy, arm tackling stuff. And that's what it was. It was like no one really wanted to be as physical as Penn State and Michigan were. This is exactly the opposite. No one wanted to play physical in this game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the SEC is turning into. The SEC is kind of a free-for-all right now. Seems like a lot of just athlete on athlete, cat on cat. Offense and defense right now. But I wanted to talk about really quickly just you guys' opinion on Bo Nix because, for me, it's kind of surprising that despite all the quarterbacks that are out here, they can come help you or, pick up in the transfer portal or someone, Bo Nix has kind of gotten worse over the time at Auburn. It seems like they've kept him in there because they want him to get over a hump or if there's a hump there, they were expecting him to get over it, but it's like he's gotten worse every season. Do you guys have any insight about that?
No, I agree with you. He just is as inconsistent as any player in college football. He has been for 2.5, 3 seasons now. I mean, he'll have a good – and when me and Drummond spoke about this, it's not even a bad game. It's bad stretches. He'll be playing good in the first half, and in the second half he falls apart. It just you can't have that. Quarterback is the one – position where consistency is more important than anything, and he's just not consistent. He's not.
Yeah, and me and Ray was talking before, he been playing better the last couple of games, which hinting a lot of their wins, but he's not playing good enough where it's convincing. It's not good enough where you're not like, oh man, is Auburn going to be able to win this game because Bo Nix is so inconsistent throughout the games, Right. They have been doing a lot better with him. He hasn't been turning the ball over as much lately, but since when he was a rookie or freshman rather, he was a guy that you kind of seen some potential in, especially with his father's name. We was all like, oh man, Bo Nix might be even better next year. Then his sophomore year came, we were like, what the heck just happened? And then now this year it's just like, is this a guy that we can't even talk about right now? So we got Chris right here. Chris Thomas, he said, what's up, crew? What's up, Chris? Thank you for being on.
Appreciate you being on, Chris.
Appreciate you.
I just think with Bo Nix, you get what you get. I mean, he doesn't set his feet. He thinks he can throw from every plateau, and he can't. And he's just a sloppy football player. But he's athletic and he's talented, but he's just sloppy.
Yeah.
Definitely sloppy.
No, 100%.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hoping they can get back to true identity of the SEC somewhere.
I mean, if you look at, I mean, Alabama's defense has struggled a little bit this year, but Georgia's defense is awesome.
Right. Cats. Yeah. They got the cats.
They do. Oh man,
yeah.
All three levels, man. They're good.
Oh yeah. I mean, me and Ray was talking about this before the season started. Anyway, it's just that there's so much turnover from the big schools, and that was a big concern with us. Like, we didn't know how these teams would be playing. Alabama, again, they're still playing well, but they got an early loss in their column. Same thing with Ohio State. We thought, hey, they're going to be good, but they had a young quarterback. They got an early loss in their column. This is something that me and Ray was saying, like, those bigger schools, although, yeah, they're big schools and everything, they still got young quarterbacks. They still got a young team that's new, a whole bunch of new starters. And, you see some struggles in there, but you can see they're starting to pick it up now. And I think that's the same with the SEC. Like, once Alabama's kind of like leaking, they seem like they're leaking some holes here and there. And then the rest of the SEC, you look at them like, they're not that great. I mean, obviously Georgia's playing outstanding right now, and it gave up their first 13-point game, which is insane to think about. But it just, when you don't have the LSU's, you don't have the like I said, Alabama's playing great. Texas A&M was the team that we thought was going to be really good. They're not playing that great. The only team that's really highly playing well, because obviously Alabama's playing well, but they're not playing to the standard that we would normally think. Then you got Georgia's playing really well, and then it's everybody else. It's like usually there's another SEC team that's playing really well or showing something, and we don't really have that third SEC team this year.
Yeah, I think that LSU is the one team where I think we expected more of their defense than we've gotten. So,
100%, definitely. All right, so let's get from SEC and let's get to back to the Big Ten. We're gonna get to this game right here, which is Iowa versus Minnesota. Minnesota losing 22-27 to Iowa. Iowa is a very inconsistent team this year. That they were ranked really high, then they lost a couple of games. Ray, I want to get your take on this game. What was your feeling from this?
I think that Iowa
LSU really pulled everything for the title. Yeah, I think that was right. I think that's a good assessment to say something like that. But go ahead, Ray.
I think that Iowa is a good team. I just don't think they're explosive enough on offense to really do anything come bowl season. I mean, they're a good physical team. Their front seven is pretty good on defense. Their secondary is not great, but they're a good physical team. But they'll be outscored by somebody probably in a bowl game. So,
yeah, Lamar, what do you think?
I think they're Iowa. They rely on shots. They want to decide to run. They want to run the ball, run, set you up, and throw shots. I feel like Ray said, they're definitely not explosive enough to consistently do that. I mean, they made some really nice plays in the game, but I really think that if their run game was better, their ground game was better, I think they'll be a much better team. They'll be able to set their pass up a little bit more, but I don't think their run game is good enough, and their receivers on the edge aren't like dominant outside guys. They're more set you up, play action type receivers, which is not a bad player, but it's like you can't just throw it up at any time when your run game is not giving you anything, and then just throw it up and make a play.
100% agree with you, Lamar, because Iowa's known for their running game. I mean, every year you just know Iowa's gonna run the ball. They're a ground and pound type of team. They usually got the massive, good offensive linemen on that team. 71 yards in this game. Their saving grace was that Tanner Morgan played very bad. I mean, 14 for 30, 183 yards, 1 touchdown. He didn't play to lose the game, but he didn't play well at all.
But if you look at Alex Padilla from Iowa, he was only 11 of 24. Yeah. I think Marcus said it. Their inability. Iowa would be a good team if they could run the ball the way they traditionally have done it. They're just not doing it this year. A little over 3 yards a carry is not going to get the job done. And I like Charlie Jones, their one receiver. I think he's a good football player. But like Marcus said, they need to run the game, run the ball, and then create separation downfield for him. And they're not doing that right now. So,
yeah, I mean, this is a team. They're 8-2 right now. They don't have a lot of losses on their plate, but it's not a very inspiring team. I mean, I'm sorry to say that.
If you look, the better teams they've played against, they've either struggled or lost to. So,
Yeah, if you look at these numbers from their running backs, I mean, one guy got 18 yards, which is Goodson. 18 attempts, 59 yards, and then everybody else is just here and there.
They average three. They average as a team. They average slightly under 3 yards a carry. That's just
that's not
get
you.
No, it's not going to get done. No,
I agree.
And if you have a team with a good front seven, you need to get a lead and let your front seven take the control of the game, and you can't do that if you're not scoring enough points. So
right, and I think schematically, that's schematically could be the issue. Like for example, Tyler Goodson, he's not a very big back. He's not a power back, right? So him running out of a I formation system, what is it, like a split I or like an I formation? That's built for more of a one cut, more physical back, right? And he's not that kind of guy who can create space where it's not there. I think that their offense, that type of running game is not super effective if you don't have a super large O-line that's able to create that space. So it's kind of obvious what they're doing. I feel like on every play, it's either going to be a off tackle run, downhill run, or play action pass. It's kind of, you could chalk it up to three things.
Well, that's the thing. If you can't even use play action consistently if you're only averaging 3 yards a carry. So
right, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the run game is not convincing, and now we don't have to stack the box.
You literally could just like run blitz every other play and just get to the quarterback off of that.
100%. All right, well, let's get to our favorite two Florida teams: Miami versus FSU. Me and Ray is laughing because this is two teams that we are just so about. But considering this was a pretty good game, entertaining game. Let's just say that it's an entertaining game. FSU wins 31-28. Lamar, I'm gonna let you get the beginning reins on this one. What's your thought on this game? Van Dyke's play versus Travis play.
Florida State is kind of like it's one of those teams where I wanted to believe in them all season. They're really athletic. They're well coached. I feel like they just kind of have like Mike Norvell when he came in a couple years ago. It's not like he's able to create everything that he has. So having certain players fit for a certain system, I don't think Florida State had those kind of players because when he was at Memphis, one of the best offenses in college football, year in, year out when he was there. One of the most explosive offenses. Those teams that he coached had several NFL players on both sides of the ball. And I feel like taking that to FSU is kind of like that win, I guess, helped them kind of get over a hump in a way, for sure.
What do you think, Ray?
I think that Florida State is a talented roster. I think that Norvell is a good coach. I think that he's trying to put it together. I think that beating Miami is not a big shake, even though I don't think Miami has a bad roster. I think they're a fairly athletic, talented team. I just think that Manny Diaz is a joke and should have been fired last year, but, it is what it is at this point. I mean, if you look at the stats, I like Tyler Van Dyke. I think he's a solid quarterback with some upside to him, but Miami's just not. They don't play good football. I mean, I don't know any other way of saying it. There is talk about them cleaning house now and firing their athletic director and bringing someone else new in. I've heard different names. I've heard Ed Reed. I heard Gino Torretta. I heard somebody say The Rock. which is not going to happen. But, the guy who's great is like, oh, yeah, I think we should get The Rock here and come out here and put the smack down on Manny Diaz. That's not going to happen.
If you smell.
Yeah, exactly. He did exactly like that. If you smell, and he slaps another, like, that's not going to happen. I mean, man, maybe The Rock would do it out of the goodness of his heart, but guys making $20 million a year a film. I don't think being in college football. I mean, would it be a bad idea? Man, he'd bring a lot of boosters to the team without a doubt. But I think Ed Reed and Gino Toretta are probably more logical choices.
Yeah, I think Ed Reed got because Ed Reed's always on that team,
and he is. And there's no bigger name from the University of Miami than Ed Reed. He's one of the great players of all time.
And beyond just the name perspective and being the best player, I feel like, just from him being on those Super Bowl teams with Ray Lewis and just, having such a big influence on those defenses, especially those were some of the best for like over a decade. Those were some of the best defenses in the entire NFL for years. And I feel like him being a big part of that as a safety is like super smart as a player. I feel like that will only translate to him being a coach. And I feel like he's a very even keel of a person. Seems that way. He's very even keel. I feel like he could bring in some really good coordinators, some really, really good help to come get that program going back in the right direction, because I feel like just the area and the history has the potential to always be there. But I feel like they've made bad choices as far as coaching.
Don't overlook that Ed Reed's leadership really got overlooked with Ray Lewis being on that team. Like, once Ray Lewis left, he was the leader. He showed his leadership with that Ravens team when Ed Reed left that team, and a lot of people don't think of Ed Reed as like the vocal leader, but he's really a really vocal leader. He's very intelligent, really listen to, a lot of his interviews and what he's saying, and, he, him being on the coach on the Miami's defense, I think that he'll be a great fit for them. And he already got the name. He got the, Super Bowls to add to that. He's going to be – is he already a Hall of Famer? Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer now. Yeah. So he got that pedigree with him. So, I think it would be a good fit for, recruiting purposes, and, he's actually a really good coach. So I think that would be a good fit for him, to be honest.
My only question would be, does he want to be coach or athletic director? I've heard athletic director. I didn't hear coach.
Interesting.
Gotcha. That'd be an even better move, because he would make a really wise decision of who the coach would be as the athlete.
I agree with that, and not only that. I mean, he I listened because I'm a Dolphins fan. The Hurricane gets thrown into every conversation I get involved in because they cover the Dolphins and the Hurricanes. But I think that I've heard his name and Gino Toretta, but both as athletic director, not coaches.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Chris, just to answer your question, and I know Ray agrees with this. He's probably going to be like 5th to 7th round pick. We're talking about Spencer Rattler at this point. He says, what happens to Spencer Rattler after the season, draft or transfer? He'll be a late draft.
Nah, he's going to enter the transfer portal. If he's not going to enter,
not enough to be an NFL quarterback.
He can't. Yeah, he can't. He won't even get drafted right.
If he went to the NFL, yeah, exactly. If he gets drafted, if he goes to the NFL, if he does get drafted, it's going to be mainly namesake than actually play, because maybe a team might be like, maybe I can do something with this guy, but he didn't.
Of course, and he does have enough talent where someone may just grab on and say, you know what, I can work with him. But if I were him, you transfer to another team, you put some good game film, hopefully next year, and if you don't, then do something else.
Yeah, I think it's a wrap for Rattler. Like, he has major character issues that are documented over the course of years now. So I feel like if he gets any shot, it'll be from somebody who actually absolutely needs someone, needs a guy who needs a backup. Not sure what kind of connections he has. Hopefully, I would assume those would be the only things that would help him get to that level, obviously. But don't think that he's NFL caliber player right now. I think he's kind of shown that, and I'm not just talking about his ability. Obviously, talking about the off the field stuff as well. The character stuff.
I agree.
Yeah, I just like you can't have a bad attitude and have bad game film. It's just that simple.
Right, exactly, and that's the major point I was trying to make. You can't be bad because teams can't be bad and have a bad attitude. Then teams really are not going to take the.
I mean, they'll take one or the other. If you have some upside but you're a good kid, they'll work with that. But if you have bad game film and you're a little bit of a head case, then why bother? You know,
right? Like look at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield or Johnny Manziel. They both had obvious issues, coming into the league, but yet teams overlooked it because their ability was stellar.
Correct, and let's face it, they both their senior years balled out, man, both of them. So,
all right,
100%. Well, talking from one draft quarterback to another, let's talk about two potential highly drafted quarterbacks that could be in this next draft, and Sam Howe and Kyle Pickett, Kenny Pickett, I'm sorry, and this UNC versus Pitt game, overtime game, 30-23, Pitt wins it out. Ray, I want to know your initial thought of that game because I thought that game was very exciting.
A very good game. I think that Kenny Pickett has showed why he is basically climbing the draft board as we speak. And I think Sam Howe, I think people like him, but they think more that he's more of a system type kid, and he is. He'll get a chance to play at the next level. But the game itself was actually not a bad game. I mean, you look at the numbers. Howe was 22-33, 296, 2 touchdowns. The crazy thing about North Carolina is they can't find a consistent running game. They just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the biggest difference between Carolina this year and last year. That and their defense isn't playing as well. But also, I think they dominated. They had 2 great running backs last year. Them, along with Sam Howell, gave them the balance in their offense where they could keep the other team off of the field and they could stay on there and convert third downs and stuff. So that is the biggest difference, I think. No running game and exposing their defense because of the running game not being there. So
definitely. I mean, it was good enough for a team. I mean, North Carolina have been a hot team lately. They started off really, really slow. We kind of predicted, they might struggle a little bit with their 2 running backs and, wide receiver that left to the NFL, and then Pitt having a good year this year. Didn't really know how this is going to go, but, like I said, UNC has been a hot team. Lamarcus, what's your thought on this game? I'm going to overtime. Tough game with both of these quarterbacks, man. What's your overall take on this one?
I really think that big lead that Pitt was able to get early in the game kind of messed with the psyche of the UNC team. Pitt was able to pull away very early, and I think that was a lot of points to come back from. So at some point, even if you're able to come back, fight, you're fighting back the entire game. So even late in the game, I feel like fatigue starts to set in, and a winner's gonna win. A winning team's gonna win, and Pitt is obviously still ranked for a reason. They're an overall better team than UNC, and obviously them losing Javonte Williams, was big from last season, and that running the game deficiency is definitely a major issue for them, for UNC.
Yeah, and you saying about the running backs, I thought that Ty Chandler had a really good game last week. And I'm thinking, man, like if they can ride him and allow Sam Howard to, kind of play off the play action like we talked about earlier, I think he played even better. But Tyler Chandler could not run against this Pitt Panthers defense. But real quick, let's get to Chris's comment right here. He says, "Which team wins, the 2017 UNC team or the 2021 Cincinnati team?"
Ooh.
Yeah. Ray, that was a great question.
You know what? I'm gonna take Cincinnati only because I don't think their quarterback in Cincinnati is great, but I think he's a little better than Central Florida had. So
I'm taking the 2017 team because if you don't know that 2017 Mackenzie Milton was on a different level. And I know it was kind of like recency bias for sure, but I really feel like that because even this is not even, in my opinion, this is not even the best Cincinnati team that Cincinnati has boasted over the past couple years. In my opinion, I feel like they've been better, but obviously like the competition on the other levels is evening out themselves. Like obviously they're not in a major conference, so what they're going against versus what a Big Ten or SEC team is going against is much different on a week-to-week basis.
All right, 100%. And that's like the biggest question. That's the biggest question about with the rankings right now, trying to rank Cincinnati high at this point. But I gotta agree with you, Lamar, because I'm going USC. Like you say, Mackenzie Milton was on a different level. I wish he didn't never get injured because he was looking good at that 2017 year.
Yeah, I don't ever hope for injuries or nothing like that, but he did badmouth Notre Dame in that year, so shit happens.
You always bring that up.
Yeah, man. You don't mess with God, dude. Come on.
Right, you ain't talking about Milton is just as bad as me talking about Appalachian State win years ago.
No, there's a difference. Appalachian State beat you. Mackenzie Milton was talking crap for no reason at all, except for his head was bigger than his arm.
Yeah, Mackenzie Milton's known for talking trash and talking too much.
He is. He is, and you know what?
He can back it up.
No, man, he's a very. You know what? I'm rooting for him because he had a horrible injury, and I don't ever want anybody to think I don't. I root for all of these kids to fulfill their dreams because that's what I would want for my son. So that's what I want for them. But don't talk about bad about Notre Dame.
Anyway,
Tim Tebow talked about bad about Notre Dame one time too, and he never played football since. So,
wow.
Yeah, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow also talked bad about Mercer in 2017.
Yeah, well, that's because Tim Tebow. Man. You know what it is. You know what it is. He was saving himself for so long. Went right to his head. Okay. Come on.
Oh my God.
Anyway, let's get to our next game. Really tight game. Iowa State versus Texas Tech. Right, this is the Texas Tech that I've been waiting for all season. That I've been on their side, and they're showing it. They showed it really a lot in this game. Beating Iowa State are really it's not like the greatest team to beat because they've been inconsistent as well. Pretty, had a okay game. Did give up 2 interceptions. Ray, I want to know what your take on these teams and this game.
I think the Texas Tech did exactly what they needed to do to win. They gave up some passing yards and stopped Breece Hall. That basically was their game plan. We're not going to let that guy beat us, and it worked for them. So,
Oh, yeah. 18 carries, 51 yards. Did get 2 touchdowns. But when you're looking at LG column, and that's like 50, that's 21, and your total runs is 51, that means all your other runs combined was 30 yards. So yeah, he was 17 for 31 out of all the other runs. So they really shut him down. They did, like you're saying, they did.
You saw Notre Dame do the same thing with Clemson last year when Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing. So they did what they had to do to take the running back away from the game, and the quarterback almost beat them, but he didn't. So I think the same thing happened in this game where if you look at Purdy, Brock Purdy played a good game. He just didn't get enough of a balanced running game to win the game. So
definitely. Lamar, what you take on this game?
I think it was a big win for Texas Tech. These kind of games, like Ray was talking about earlier, these big point games. It came down to the wire. It's gonna be who has the ball in the hand last. It wasn't much of a defensive contest. I think the Texas Tech defense made a couple more plays late, and that was pretty much it. Honestly, it wasn't too much of a who was a better team. It was much more so who had the ball last, because they were really evenly matched, in my opinion.
Yeah, and games like this, every little thing matters. And when your kicker is missing kicks, that hurts. That hurts. And that's what happened to Iowa State. The kicker missing kicks, and that was the difference. So games like this, every little thing kind of matters. But let's get to our next game. This game, I'm happy for this game because I chose this game in our pick'em, and Ray didn't.
Oh yeah, we need to go over those.
Allowing me to have a better record for the first time this year. We're gonna get into that, but we're gonna go to the Wake Forest versus the NC State game. I had to put this on here for Ray. Wake Forest, man, 9-1, looking really good. Winning 45-42. Another no defensive game. Not a lot of this in college football right now. Marcus, let me get your first take on this.
Man, it's fluke. I can't say much. I can't say much about. I can't say much about Wake Forest.
My overall record. So
I mean, this is one of those games. This is one of those games where it's a rivalry. It's an in-state rivalry. You're not really gonna get too much of a. I mean, it was a 3-point victory. Like it's a late. It's a 3-point victory. So I mean, it is a good win. But I mean, I think with that, they kind of show like even though you have a good record, it doesn't really reflect in what you're gonna see in the postseason. I don't feel like there's too many teams that out of conference G5 wise. I mean P5 wise that they could really beat. I mean, especially against the SEC. I don't think there's too many teams in the SEC that they could beat, in my opinion. Just across the board.
You could just take what Marcus just said and repeat it for me, okay? We're good. It's a nice win. Come 2, 3, 4 weeks from now when they're trying to play a bowl game, they're going to get destroyed. But it's a nice win.
All right.
You're rude. You're rude.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. It's not a 9-1 Wake Forest team. I don't care what their record is. They're not gonna be that. Yeah. It's not gonna reflect how good they are.
Marcus, do me a favor. Say it. Wake Forest.
Wake Forest.
Hey,
you know what you got to say, man.
They won against them and they won. That's all I know.
No. It's a nice win for them.
Which Big Ten coach will get fired first? Harbaugh or Frost, Harbaugh or Franklin?
Well, I'm going to take Force out of that because Harbaugh is never getting fired, and James Franklin would resign and go somewhere else before he got fired at Penn State. So
I'm taking Frost.
Yeah, I too. I agree with that.
He's not.
I'm taking Frost because for the same exact reason that Ray said, Franklin's going to go to a different school.
He may.
I think, if anything.
And Jim Harbaugh, God would have to come down and fire him because he's not getting fired, okay? It's not going to happen.
The man just got re-signed after a horrible year. He's not going nowhere.
You know what, Jerome? In my room, I have a picture of you last year where you're fired. Jim Harbaugh should be fired t-shirt on, okay? Be glad it didn't happen. I would have set you back 5 years, okay, brother?
Hey,
all right?
Listen, he's back in okay graces. He's not in good graces.
Nah.
Graces.
Oh, so Wake Forest could win the national title because they're 9-1, but Michigan's 9-1, and Jim Harbaugh can keep his job this year. Okay, thanks.
Listen, hey, look, one thing I'll commend any coach ever is you do something and you realize it's not working, you change up your game plan, and that's exactly what they did. He changed his game plan, changed his coaching, and he was
just trying to be like Nick Saban. That was all.
That's part of it. The other part is honestly, he's being Jim Harbaugh. When everything else fails, you put a helmet on a helmet and you be physical. That's fine.
And that's all I asked for.
Last year, I did not.
No, you like what I was looking at last year.
Jerome, You were ready to jump off a bridge last year, man. Let's be honest.
I was.
Right.
Right. And what was the main thing that I was mad about the entire year?
I don't know what
we did not adjust well in those years.
You're not adjusting well this year either. You're playing physical football and you're getting turnovers. You're letting your defense and your running game win games for you, which is what Michigan does usually, right? When they're good.
I agree. But you got to understand, like, changing game plans. Like, that year that Ohio State was just literally doing cross routes on us, that was horrible.
Your defense has made strides this year. They're playing different coverages in their secondary, and their linebackers are not being exposed as much as last year.
And that's what I mean. Change your philosophy out. Change what you're doing, man. Because, like I said, if you're a coach and you can't adjust, you're never going to be a good coach. Ever.
Well, if I have a bad saying, like, if you're struggling, if you don't change nothing will change. So
perfect example, the Eagles the last couple of games. I mean, we've still been losing, but we've been looking a lot better.
Well, you run the ball as much as, like, Jalen Hurts has played good football. I'll give him that. But to me, the key to the Eagles is balanced offense. Don't expose what he can't do downfield.
Exactly. So, I mean, like I said, I don't hate him. We'll see in 2 weeks.
All right. Oh, before we close out on the Wake Forest game, one thing that I wanted to mention was I remember when we first started talking about the NIL stuff with the college football stuff. And even though that just happened this year, one thing that I said was that now with the transfer portal and all this, like, movement of players, I really felt like what would decide who were the best teams was who could obviously bring the best talent. That's a given. But I think that teams who could have more upperclassmen, who had more upperclassmen or more experienced players on the team, I think would make the major difference. Now, especially with a lot of players moving from school to school, if you can keep your core group together, then I think you could be a little bit better in the long run, which is, I think, what Wake Forest is doing, especially being an academic school. They have a bigger retention of guys who are willing to graduate, who want to graduate from Wake Forest. So I think more so like schools like them, Stanford, Vanderbilt.
I agree, but I think in the end that may be what hurts them though too. Because they're a high academic school, they're only going to get certain players.
Right. And I also think that I agree with that, Ray. I just feel like and obviously it'll still be a flow type thing. I feel like they'll go through cycles where obviously, like we're saying now, a cycle, like every few years they'll be good again. Every few years they'll be good again.
You know what, Marcus? That's what I try to explain. Well, what I think I try to tell people. I think like LSU. If LSU is going to be fine, but it's going to take second and third year seniors or players before they're that upper plateau again.
Right.
It's not that they're not good; they have talent, but it took Joe Burrow 2.5 years before he became Joe Burrow. Right. It's going to be as you progress. Year one players going into year three with the same players, and then adding a little spice through either the porthole or through recruiting. The problem I think that these guys have made is that they think they should win every year. And you're not Alabama, you're not Ohio State, you're not going to win every year. So be patient. You're going to be fine.
I agree with you, Ray. Let's get to our last game real quick before we get to our pick'ems, and that will be Oklahoma Sooners versus the Baylor Bears. This game was huge, not only because Oklahoma's were undefeated, and a lot of people it's like maybe they should be a top 4 team. Not because Baylor, which haven't been the greatest team, beat them, but let's have a lot of playoff situation with this game, because now a lot of people like we was talking about with Cincinnati earlier, a lot of people were saying maybe Cincinnati shouldn't be top 4, it should be Oklahoma. They're undefeated. They have a loss.
Tried to tell you.
Well, Marcus, you said it.
They're not the guys.
And, I said it too. This Oklahoma team is not a good Oklahoma team, and it came down to quarterback play, and he was all praising Caleb Williams a few weeks ago, and he had a terrible game. 10 for 19, 146 yards, and 2 interceptions. So I'm gonna start with you, LaMarcus. So you said it. You tried to tell us. Let us know.
Man, when you put a quarterback who's pretty much they pretty much banished Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma. He had to come back in the game, right? That's not a good sign. Yeah. And that's never a good sign when your backup quarterback has to come back. That's almost similar to a situation in Carolina. Then Matt Rule bringing back Cam Newton. Like, seriously, like, you got rid of him. Now you decide, hey, I need him back again. Let me get him back. It's really not a good situation, and Spencer Rattler is not the answer. Obviously, it's something going on in their coaching in their coaching room, during the week where these guys already get prepared because, it seems like they're just switching back and forth. Whoever has a hot hand and, at least run a 2-quarterback system where you're actually implementing that during the week and not just bringing in whoever has the hot hand because they're still not super experienced as quarterbacks. They have some Spencer Rattler has some years, but he's not super experienced as a quarterback either. And then Caleb Williams, obviously, he's not super experienced. And so obviously he's going to make some mistakes. And if he gets different looks, which is what he got, that's how Baylor was able to beat him.
Yeah. And, Ray, my thing is that it's bad enough that Caleb Williams had a bad game, but they can't even run, Ray. They can't even run to help out the quarterback. What do you think on this whole game?
That's the number one problem. Oklahoma's not running the ball this year. They're not playing physical football up front on offense even. We already know they can't play defense. They're horrible. That's why they're not a top 5 team. Michigan's better than them. Michigan State's better than them. They shouldn't be a top 5 team. But they need to get their defense better in a hurry if they even want to make a good bowl game right now at this point. Right. And again, I hate to get back to this. What are they thinking they could play in the SEC with the way their team is constructed right now? Are they crazy?
They remind me of like an Oregon. All about like Oregon from like 2013, like when they weren't, the times when they weren't as good. It's just like they're all about the flash and the show. Like they'll get a top recruit here and there. Like they'll get a big name guy here and there, but it's just like, what do you actually do with it? They don't do much with it. They've not been able to be consistent. They had some really good quarterbacks come through back to back, literally, but it's just not.
But you know what the thing though, Marcus? The other thing is that, yes, they've had good quarterbacks, but they've had good running games around those quarterbacks. And they don't have that right now.
So that could be the major issue. Nothing for them to rely on.
Correct.
In the backfield.
Spencer Rattler looked good last year, like the second half of the year, behind a pretty strong running game. And now it looks like he can't play.
And I don't think he's mature enough to he kind of reminds me, I'm sure y'all know who LaMelo Ball is, but like I'm gonna make an NBA comparison, like he kind of reminds me of LaMelo Ball, like just from the fact that they were young, like social media stars. They had their own little documentary. It kind of chronicled their life, and just I watched the show, and Spencer Rattler was definitely immature. Like he didn't seem like a good teammate at all. Like he was like always make jokes and rank on other guys like on his team, and it wasn't just like the funny like whatever rank. It was like an entitlement sense, and I feel like with those kind of traits, you can't be a good quarterback. Like there's no way to really kind of, even if you are like that on the surface level, if you show that to people, they're not gonna rally behind you. And as a quarterback, that's the last thing to happen.
It's great to be a funny guy and be a little bit of a jokester and have a little bit of arrogance in the locker room. But when you're on your field, you have to be serious. You have the guys show that, yes, you can follow me, I will lead. And he doesn't show that.
He doesn't.
He does not.
Yeah. I know this game was killing Lincoln Riley because, Lincoln Riley loved throwing, and they only threw 25 times. But credit to Baylor. Let's give Baylor some credit because they kept the ball out of Oklahoma's hands also. You know, they ran the ball as much as they could. They kept the ball out of their hands. They're very efficient. You know, very little turnovers. You know, 20 attempts from Smith, 13 from Egner, 9 from Buchanan. Like, they kept the ball on the ground. They did not allow Oklahoma to have a lot of time. I mean, there was very little offensive passing, but the even less running attempts. So that tells you that
And they did dominate time of possession almost 39 minutes. So to 24, whatever it is, 21. But it's still not. You're Oklahoma. You need to create explosive plays. And your coach, you can say other coaches, and he's a good offensive mind. He is. But like Marcus said, going back to Rattler probably was not a good move. It's probably going to hurt them in future games. Now, who are you playing this week? And whoever you play, if he plays bad, he's looking over his shoulder. It's not a good thing.
And that's the issue too. When you're a 9-1 team and you're still trying to figure out your quarterback situation,
that's not good.
Like,
and imagine what the locker room is saying. Like,
absolutely.
Imagine if you're an upperclassman, like you're kind of looking at coach, like, or any like a top player, you're looking at coach, like, what's going on? Why'd you put that guy back in? Or, you know, it's uncertainty. You don't know who your quarterback is, and you don't know who's gonna play well. You're just kind of like looking around, like who's gonna not make a mistake.
Yeah, but that's exactly, Marcus. And it's not only that. Now it goes into the other guys. Well, if they're going to bench the quarterback, if I don't block well this game, are they going to bench me? If I'm not running the ball well this game, are they going to bench me? And then it just turns into a snowball effect where don't be surprised if Oklahoma loses another game or two before the end of the year now.
Right. Definitely inconsistency for sure.
Correct. And one thing, Miami, the best name is Ed Orgeron, man, believe it or not. Apparently, Ed Reed loves Ed Orgeron. So
really,
yes.
Interesting. All right, well, that's gonna do it for our week 11 reviews today, and we're gonna quickly try to do our pick'ems. But like I said earlier, I got the win this week. I was 7-3. Ray was 6-4. First time all season. We need to have a party. I'm coming back, right? It's gonna be an epic comeback. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it.
I had my worst week of the year picking games, pro and college.
Really?
Bad.
That's odd for you.
Well, there's a lot of upsets, a lot of bad upsets in pro football this week, without a doubt. So
there were a lot of upsets in pro football. I definitely agree. So Ray is up by 12 games right now. I got 2 weeks to make this up somehow.
I'm still liking 78-37 though, man. I'm not gonna lie.
But I got my guy LaMarcus. He's gonna help me out get some of these picks. So let's do this right here, right now, and let's get right into it. Iowa versus Oklahoma State. Ray, I'm gonna let you go first. Who you got on this one?
As much as I just hated on Oklahoma, I'm going to take Oklahoma in this game, right?
You just said they're gonna lose 2 games.
Not this one. No, I'm going to take Oklahoma in the game.
LaMarcus, I'm stuck on this one because this is pretty much a pick'em game. Oklahoma
is favored by 4.5, but besides that, yeah.
You got 4.5. I got 3.5, sir.
I got 4.5.
Okay, Marcus, what you got?
This is a tough pick. If I'm gonna go with the spread, I'm obviously the easy pick is to go with the spread, but I just don't think Oklahoma's a very good team. I especially what I just saw this past week. But I think just I like to go cat for cat, even if I'm not going with the spread. I think cat for cat, Oklahoma has more cats. But obviously, if Spencer Rattler turns the ball over or Caleb Williams, whoever they decide to play, they turn the ball over, the game could go much different. But Oklahoma, I'll pick Oklahoma.
As much as I would love to upstate Ray on this one. As much I would love to do that. I can't go against Oklahoma in this game because of their opponent.
You can't
Oklahoma
bet
State
on
is
Brock Purdy.
so-
Man.
He's so inconsistent.
You can't.
So inconsistent, and we've been saying this all year, Ray. He's so inconsistent. And I can't bet on him. I don't think I have all year. I don't think I have.
I honestly like the kid, and I was really high on him 2 years ago.
Oh
But
yeah,
he's disappointed me. Last year he was bad, and this year he's been as inconsistent as he was last year. So
yeah.
what are you gonna do?
So I'm gonna get on that train too. With that one, let's get to our next game. We're gonna go, and don't laugh at this
You're
one.
not even going to ask this one, right, man?
We're not gonna ask, but
Okay. All right.
we're gonna talk a little bit about it. It's the one game I just want to talk about because it's high. It's a very important game for both teams.
Oh, it's very
Ohio State
important. Very important.
versus Michigan State. Now, 4 versus 7. I'm pretty sure in the market you could get me wrong if you think otherwise, but I'm pretty sure all of us have Ohio State winning this game. But Michigan State have a chance, and what are the chances? What would they have to do to win? I'm sorry with you, LaMarcus. What would Michigan State need to do to win this game? Because if they lose this game, they're not going to be in the playoffs. That's just how it is.
So I don't want to sound cliche, all right, but Michigan State has to get turnovers. They have to win the turnover margin. They have to force. Ohio State's going to throw the ball. Ohio State they have to make a mistake, or Michigan State has to force a mistake in order for them to be in the game. I think they have to control the ball, control the clock, and that's going to be on the ground. If they can get a really good, consistent ground game, I think they have get a couple of turnovers. I think they have a really good chance of winning that game. Ohio State has been, sloppy at times. I feel like as long as they can make a few mistakes, they can definitely win the game. But I'm gonna go with Ohio State.
All right. Well, wait. What is the keys to the game for Michigan State in this one?
Run the ball. Keep Ohio State and C.J. Stroud off the field when he is on the field. Rush him from the outside. Keep him in the pocket. Make sure he doesn't get outside the pocket and creates explosive plays against you. And turnovers, of course.
Yeah, like you guys saying, Kenneth Walker is going to have a game like he did with Michigan for this team. Ohio State's receivers is absolutely insane. I'm sorry, their receivers are really.
They are,
really,
but if you can limit, go ahead.
I don't think Michigan State's corners are that great, or defensive backs in general.
They're not,
and that's bad.
They're not. But there's again, if you keep Stroud in the pocket and make him create passing lanes and not give him open lanes, but if he moves out of the pocket, you can control him and make it so he doesn't hit so many big plays against you. If you let him freelance it all back there, the receivers of Ohio State are so good, they're going to double move you and you're going to be lost. If you do that, keep him in the pocket, get some pressure on him, hit him, and run the ball and keep their offense off the field as much as you can, you have a shot. They don't have a shot to win the game. They're not going to win the game, but that is your shot. So,
all right, definitely. All right, let's move on to our next pick 'em. Game. The team I just talked about, Wake Forest versus Clemson. Clemson is at home. They are favored by 4.5. Ray, who you got in this one?
I got Clemson.
Lamarcus, who you got in this?
I got Clemson.
You got Clemson?
Yeah, I got Clemson.
See, I'm going to do it.
Oh, my God. If there were any upset that you picked, this was not the one.
No, I'm going to do it, though, because
Hickson.
The inconsistent line of Clemson been bad. And, yes, Clemson's home. I'm going to say Wake Forest is going to take this one. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
This will be the game that Clemson's quarterback remembers how good he was last year. Watch.
Listen, I've been, I love DJ, and I've been saying this. I
don't even try to say his name. I just say the Clemson quarterback. I don't even try to say his name anymore.
I just say DJ.
There you go. My man. There you go.
But, he was a guy that going into the season, I'm like, man, this kid can really be Heisman candidate. I took a really bad take on that one. But, not considering their offensive line, like me and Ray always say, Trevor Lawrence really mask a lot that the offensive line couldn't do.
He did.
And I think that's going to be the downfall in this game. They've been struggling with it. They're 7-3, which isn't horrible, but it's not Clemson good. And I think Wake Forest is hot right now. I think they can withstand them. I'm gonna do it. Y'all gonna
No
hate
matter,
me.
Jerome. Anything you said the last minute and a half, I put your initial down next to Wake Forest. You're in. Okay.
I'm gonna do it. I know Lamarcus is here to help me out, but I'm sorry. I gotta go with the opposite one on this one. This is my red flag game right here. Well, let's get to our next one. We're gonna go to USC versus UCLA. Ray, who you taking in that one?
I got UCLA in that game.
UCLA.
Yep, yes, sir.
All right.
I think that Chip Kelly will run the ball well enough to play enough defense and win the game. So
UCLA is favored by 3 away.
I'm gonna take SC.
I'm gonna do it as well.
You both got SC?
Wait. I'm sorry. You taking SC?
Uh-huh.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take SC.
I'm actually gonna agree with Ray on this one.
Now I think I like to go for all-time records, especially in a a rivalry game. So I'm gonna take SC.
I will say this: it is a rivalry game. So those games are always tougher and a lot closer than normally
And UCLA is still a little brother. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I have to go with the big brother in this one. I know it's kind of like
I definitely get what you're saying with that, but UCLA been playing. Although both records are not the greatest records. I mean, UCLA 6-4, USC is only 4-5. But I do think that UCLA shows more with their quarterback play, their running game, and a better defense.
I just don't even – who is coaching USC right now? Does anybody even know?
I know Clay Helton got fired, so –
Yeah, so who's coaching them?
No idea.
Okay, so we got a team with a coach with no name. I won't vote for that. I can't pick that. Sorry. I can't do it.
Hey, it's community coach right now.
Yeah, so is Miami's offense. Have you seen Miami's offense?
All right, let's get to our next game. This is it. This game is a pretty much one-sided. Well, it's a close game. We got Baylor versus K-State. K-State is favored by 1 at home. Wait, who are you taking this one?
I'm taking Baylor in this one. I am. I'm taking Baylor in this game.
I'm gonna take
you know how I feel, Jerome. If you're not getting that between 2.5 and 3.5 points at home, then you have a real legitimate shot to lose the game. So I'm taking Baylor.
Bear down.
Yeah. I'm going K-State. I've been on the train all year. You know, right? You already know.
Dude, you take K-State every week.
I pretty much do.
Are they undefeated, Jerome? Is K-State undefeated, Jerome?
No, they're not. Hey, am I undefeated?
I love the running back too. I do. So.
Clay Helton? Is that the name of the USC coach? I guess.
It was. He got fired.
He was fired.
He got fired.
Oh, he's the one that got fired. Yeah.
Let's wake up, everybody. He's fired.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah.
Jerome, are you coaching the team?
I might as well, right?
I think you should. I'm still a little surprised that, like, you being a former defensive back, you like so much offense. It surprises me.
Yeah, I give you that. I give you that, Ray. You get that one this week. All right, let's get to our next game. This game, I don't like talking about this game, but we will do it because I've been jinxing this team. Yeah,
Jerome, you picked this one first. Go ahead.
Oregon versus See, no, Ray has this thing where he goes against everything I say with this team. I'm
Jerome,
actually going to go Oregon.
Just so you know, Marcus, for every time Jerome picks Utah, they lose. Every time he picks against Utah, they win.
100%. And the thing is, I like Utah too. And every time I go for them, they lose. Every time I go against them, they win. I don't know why that doesn't happen.
Because you're bad luck for Utah.
I am. I'm going Oregon.
You're going to Oregon. Okay, I'm going Utah.
So if I'm picking Utah, so Oregon to win, I'm picking Utah.
Utah is favored by 3. They are at home, so it's pretty much a pick'em game.
So, all right, we're picking opposites. Cool.
No, just that one game.
Just that one game.
I think
game.
I like.
When I don't know what it is about the Utes. Whenever Jerome picks them, the opposite happens.
I feel so bad because I like them. I always say, dude, I it's like if I was a Michigan fan, I might be a Utah fan, and every time I pick them, they lose.
Believe me, they don't want you as a fan, dude. Again.
Oh my god!
Relax. So an interim head coach start with is fired from another interim. LOL.
You know what? Honestly, I can look who their head coach is now. I'm sure we could Google it, and they'll probably give us a name, but it's definitely not Helton. So,
interesting. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know what's going on in USC, to be honest. So let's move on. Let's do VTech versus Miami. Miami, that line definitely changed a lot. Miami is actually favored at home by 8. Ray, who are you taking?
I have Miami.
Okay. So Marcus?
I'm taking Hurricane.
It's at home. I'll take Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game's hard for me because, I like VTech, and I think they always have a good defense. Both teams are 5-5 at this moment.
If it was at VTech, it definitely would have been Tech for me.
It's just weird though, because I think
Miami have a better team. Go ahead, Ray.
I think they're actually fairly even as far as talent. I think Miami has a little bit more talent, but I think they're fairly even. The fact that it's a 7.5 point line is what surprises me.
Yeah,
it just tells me to jump all over Miami. To be honest with you,
you hit a good point though. They are evenly matched teams, but I think Miami has a better roster. That makes sense.
They do, and their secondary is much better than Virginia Tech right now.
Yeah. So this game kind of like I don't like that line. I would go again. I wouldn't like that line. I wouldn't go for
No. I would never. You could not take Miami to cover 7.5 points against Central Michigan, let alone anybody else. Crazy, man.
But I will go Miami. Johnny Dean also agrees. He says Miami as well. So I'm gonna go Miami.
And just so we know, when I Google USC head coach, it goes candidates. Doesn't even tell me who it is.
It says question mark.
Exactly. It's like your guess is as good as mine, So
all right, let's get to our last two games. UAB versus UTSA. UTSA is actually ranked. Ray, let me look at the line because the line is really close.
4.5.
It's 4.5.
I have UTSA 4.5. I'm taking them.
Guys, when I do this, it's always on Monday, so the lines are usually fresh. I try to get as close as lines as I can. Yes, it is 4.5. LaMarcus, who are you taking in this one?
I'm gonna go with the line. I'm gonna take UTSA.
I am too. I like their running back. I like what's his name? Sincere? What's his name? I forgot his name. Start fast. But I like him. I think they're gonna really lean on him. McCormick. There you go, McCormick. I really like him. So I like their play with him. So I'm gonna pick them as well. All right, last game. Texas versus West Virginia. Another close one. Let me get that line. Right, who you have on that one?
This is a tough one. I had 2.5 points for West Virginia. You know what? Man, that's a tough game. Mm-hmm. I don't like that game, actually.
I got 3. Ray, maybe this might help you a little bit. I got 3 points for West Virginia, but they are home, so it's a pick 'em.
I guess I'll take West Virginia. I mean, I'm not crazy about the game. I probably wouldn't play it either way, but I'll take West Virginia at home.
All right, LaMarcus.
Yeah, I can never ever pick Texas to win a game ever.
Thank you.
So
That's the part
they're hands down the most underwhelming and disappointing team in college football history. Especially with the kind of history they have, it's definitely frustrating. Yeah, I have a friend who's a Texas fan. A friend who's a Texas fan, and he literally swears Texas will be good every year. But they're always disappointing. And even though West Virginia got
worse and worse.
Right,
even worse and worse. As they coming into the SEC.
Yeah, like you're coming to SEC and you
get worse.
You get worse, yeah. So I'll take West Virginia on this one.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, like me and Jerome, Marcus have talked about this for months. I don't know what Texas is thinking, man. We keep waiting for them to remember that they're Texas. And now they want to move to the SEC. What are they?
I'm thinking that they think that it'll increase their stakeholders and their boosters, or that's all I'm thinking.
I agree with that, but it's not going to help them get more talent than the other SEC teams that are there.
Right.
And yeah, they may keep, regionally, they may get guys that are from Texas that maybe would have went to another SEC team, and that's going to help them out a little bit, but it's not going to help them enough to where from where they're at right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Not to compete in the SEC, man. It's not. I know we're talking 2 years from now, and maybe things can change a little bit. But if I took this Texas team right now and put it in the SEC, they'll probably win 5 games if they're lucky.
If that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand.
They got 4 right now, right?
If I was a Texas booster, I'd be like, yo, man, guys, if Oklahoma leaves, we're number 1. See ya. Okay?
True.
I don't get it. I don't get it. But hey, man, more power to him.
Johnny Dean said he can't touch West Virginia. I don't know about that, sir. I like Neil Brown. I like what he's doing over there as a head coach.
There's a reason why they're home and it's only a 2.5 point line.
Yeah.
Because it's probably because Texas is a more talented roster, but they don't play like they're more talented.
They play like they play like people believe that the stereotypes about Texas football. Like,
correct.
That's how they play. They play like we're Texas, we should be good. We should beat everybody.
Yeah. Like Evan Bethea and Earl Campbell still play there. Right. Exactly. But they don't.
Earl Thomas still play.
Right. For younger guys like Earl Thomas, right, exactly. They haven't played like that in quite a while, actually. So
Johnny D said every time I bet on West Virginia, I end up regretting it.
I don't disagree with that.
They're not a team. They're a team that's very well coached. That's still trying to get their players together. They don't have a lot of talent on the team, So I get it. I get what you're saying, Johnny Dean. But at the same time, Texas, it's still Texas.
Marcus. Before we get off this computer, I have to see your dog, right, man? Okay, man.
Of course.
Okay, man.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, that will do us for today. My man Lamarcus got to attend to his dog. Ray needs to get out of here. I'm tired too, so let's get all out of here. But guys, thank you so much for getting on with us for this episode of the podcast. We thank everybody that was in here. Johnny Dean, Chris, we all appreciate each one of you. Jacob as well. Thank y'all all for being in here, man. Listen. We on here each week, man. If y'all want to get on here, we allow guests on here as well. So hit us up. We on Inside the Hashes. You can find our email on InsideTheHashes.com. Find all the content on InsideTheHashes.com. We got gaming, podcasts, interviews, fantasy football is all on there. So definitely check that out, InsideTheHashes.com. Also, make sure you follow us on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We can find all our great content on there as well. And make sure you check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. You can find all our exclusive interviews. But specifically, go to our YouTube channel. We got great interviews on there. Lamarcus just jumped on us, but it's okay. But we got great interviews and stuff like that on there. So make sure you go check us out on there. Johnny Dean says, have a great night, guys. Great show as usual. Jerome, thank you so much, Johnny Dean. I do appreciate you being on as always and being a faithful listener with us. But make sure you go on our YouTube channel, like and subscribe on there. If you got any interviews, Lamarcus is back. How you doing, sir? Make sure you go back on YouTube and hit that like and subscribe button. because you'll know when we go live. You can go live and talk like these guys are, like real time. We answer questions. Anybody that wants to chat and stuff like that, we love chatting with you. But if you can't go live, you understand. Some people are busy. Watch us later on. We will be on YouTube. Hit that notification button so you know when we're live. But if you don't, you definitely can go on to our YouTube channel. Hit go into any comments on there. We will go back and answer your questions on there. So definitely check that out. And we got one last comment from Johnny Dean. Ray and LaMarcus as well. Didn't mean to leave you guys out. Sorry. It's all right, Johnny Dean, man.
No, it's all good, man.
All good.
It's all good.
Yeah, man.
We're just yanking picks, man. That's all. All right.
Definitely.
I only bet pennies. I'm good. Yeah.
Gotta love Ray, the man, the myth, the legend, Ray Roberts. But thank you guys for being on with us. I'm Jerome Jones. We got Ray Roberts, and again, special thanks to LaMarcus for being on it once again. 2 weeks in a row. Maybe we can make it 3. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it's a long podcast, but we just love talking football, man. So if you love talking football, check us out again next week. And also shout out to Air It Out Podcast. They will be on tomorrow, Thursday, around 6:00 Eastern time. So make sure you go check them out as well. They're gonna be live on air as well. But if you, like I said before, if you can't go live, that's fine. Go on their YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so you can see all those videos as well. So guys, thank y'all so much. Once again, enjoy your weekend. Have some good college football because those games are about to get serious, man. They're about to get serious. So enjoy your football. Peace out. Have a good one and enjoy your night.